In the world of Hollywood, movies get greenlit and redlit. They get remade and rebooted. But we are the Ideal. I'm Sam Gasch, and you are listening to Ideal Remake. Thank you for listening to Ideal Remake. We take movies that either have been, will be, or should be remade and talk about what the ideal version of that remake would be. This time, we're trying to understand the nature of a thing so we know what it's capable of. And my guest today is a motherfucker who's always trying to skate uphill named Zach Luna. Zach, is Blade a movie that has been, will be, or should be remade?
I think it's probably in the will be camp at this point, pretty squarely. I think it's a lucrative property and a just badass movie in general.
Have they announced that they're going to be remaking it?
No, there've been rumors, a lot of little tiptoes here and there about whether or not they're going to put Blade in the MCU, which I guess was the premise we started from today.
Right.
Thanks for having me on the show.
This is Zach.
Yeah, I'm Zach. Yeah, you can normally hear me on Spider-Man Minute that I co-host with Scott Corelli.
Tell us more about yourself, Zach.
What
are you?
I am an actor and podcaster in Los Angeles, and I am sometimes in TV shows, and I am oftentimes on podcasts, and this is a podcast I am on today. Normally.
Can confirm.
Normally I'm on Spider-Man Minute. Okay, so what are we talking about today? What's our premise?
What's fun for me is that we're watching Blade specifically because, we're talking about Blade, and I first saw Blade a couple years ago, or however we saw it, because you made me watch Blade.
Of course, yeah. It's important cinema for anyone.
If there's one person I can trust on Blade and Blade-related things, it's Zach Luna.
Thanks, Sam. That's for those who don't know me, that's a double joke.
I don't think they need that.
They don't need that? Okay.
They don't need the background. Zach collects swords. Anyway.
And design them, and, it's fine.
But how did you first see Blade?
I first saw Blade, not in theaters, on home video, and my brother showed it to me. My older brother, who I mention a lot on these podcasts, because he was sort of like a tastemaker figure for me. My older brother is from my dad's first marriage, so he's way older than I am. He's like 20 years older than I am. And so when I was a kid, and I'd be hanging out with Chuck, or we'd be, he'd come up with a thing for us to do. A lot of times when we were watching movies or reading comic books or stuff, he would recommend things to me that he was into when he was in his early 20s and I was a child, because he didn't want to watch kiddie stuff. So a lot of my exposure to films and stories and books that are really meaningful to me, I got at a very young age because of Chuck. And so I'm pretty sure he had this on VHS, or this was one of the first DVDs. Ooh. I think there was a cool DVD special features. I know I eventually bought it on DVD, but I think when I first saw it, because this came out in 1998, I was probably 8 years old or 9 years old, and my brother showed it to me. And he was a huge comic book fan. He's worked in independent comics himself as a writer.
Oh, I don't think
I mean as a illustrator.
Sure.
The opposite of a writer. You write with images.
Depends on the genre.
Yeah.
Animation, storyboard artists are the writers.
Exactly, yeah. And he's an art teacher now, so he's been doing art his whole life. He's great influence, but that was his thing. So he knew about the character of Blade, he knew about the comics and whatnot, and when the movie came out, he was like, this is amazing. Maybe an 8-year-old shouldn't be seeing this movie, but I did, and it was great. So yeah, it's a long been a touchstone for me in terms of my interests and whatnot. What's going on?
I just realized I didn't cast someone. It's fine. Keep talking.
That's fine. You can. I will continue to muse about.
No. We'll get to that, and I will come up with something on the. I will not come up with something on the fly.
That's fine. The thing about Blade is that I think it gets overlooked to a certain degree when people talk about the overall ownage that superhero movies have of the whole media landscape these days.
I mean, there are a lot of people who get owned in this movie.
It's true, yeah. It's specifically by Blade. And this movie
Though not exclusively.
Yeah, a lot of times people talk about, what were the seeds of the modern, superhero film revolution? They're always going back to, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man and the first X-Men movie, and that's when we moved from the old Richard Donner and Tim Burton Batman version of superheroes to the more modern day leading up to the MCU version of things. But what people forget a lot is Blade. And I think Blade, because it was before X-Men, it was before Spider-Man, 1998, a couple years before either of those were doing anything. And it was no compromises, balls to the wall craziness, incorporating, that you could put CGI in a mid-budget film at this point. Not it didn't have to always be a Jurassic Park or something like that. And you had more flexibility with, Hong Kong style kung fu and action and whatnot, and that you could have big big fight scenes and big displays of powers and superhero-dom and vigilante stuff, and it would be palatable to a mass audience. I mean, people loved this movie.
I could absolutely see the roots for in both the MCU and the yet unnamed DCU.
Sure, yeah.
In Blade, and it's one of those things where I think Marvel took the right lessons and DC took the wrong ones.
Sure. For a while. I mean, I think DC has course-corrected beautifully at this point.
They're doing well recently.
Yeah. Like, their last 3 movies, I'm on board with.
I didn't realize that you enjoyed Aquaman.
I love Aquaman.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I still have not seen it, but that's a
conversation for a separate podcast. But, like, if you've been sleeping on Aquaman, like, find the biggest television you have access to in the darkest room and, like, get in a silly headspace and watch Aquaman. Because it is, I mean, just visually it is mind-blowing, but if you're willing to get on its silly wavelength, it is so much fun. Anyway.
Well, we're also, like, this episode's going to come out in a month.
Right.
But, like, I just saw Shazam. It just came out this weekend, and I just saw it this morning, and it's bright and colorful and fun and amazing and super... But it's also weirdly dark.
Yeah.
And I can spoil it like hell
There's
because it comes out in a movie.
Yeah.
Someone, like, lots of people get eaten.
Yeah, by, like, big, scary monsters. And it was a horror director who made that film, right?
I don't know.
What's his name? I'll look him up while you talk.
But yeah, like, but we take Blade, for example, and you have, like, the big actiony set pieces and, like, the lore and everything, but the original, but you also kind of have, like, the dark and, oh, we're making these things cool now.
Yeah.
And that's, like, one of the things that I think DC try to do, and they're like, no, that's not why these are fun. That's not why people like these.
Yeah.
It's not because they're quote-unquote cool. It's because literally, what's Billy's brother's name?
Freddie. Yeah.
Literally the reason why Freddie likes is, like, they're just interesting and cool and this and that, and I just like talking about them and that.
Yeah.
And that's what we want.
Yeah. It's okay for it to be kid stuff.
Yeah.
But it is a genre that's flexible enough that it can, like, handle a lot of different tones. And I think Blade specifically was one of the first movies where people are like, oh, these could be, like, blockbuster action movies, not just, like, goofy heroic things. And that was a big deal at the time, you know? This was, like, a year before The Matrix came out, even. And it's, like...
Did you think this inspired the wardrobe in The Matrix?
A little bit, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, it may have, if it came out a year before, they probably were already in production on The Matrix.
Yeah.
But
And,
it's 90s punk grunge.
You know, long leather trench coats. It was cool at the time. Whatever.
Legitimately, I mean, we had a whole episode on hackers. Yes, it was.
Yeah, the Shazam, by the way, directed by David Sandberg, who, yes, was known before this for directing Lights Out horror film. Which I think was like a horror short before it became a horror film. But, like...
It's interesting that this is a superhero that's so focused on lights up. Electric bass, and he lights things up.
He lights things up, yeah. Anyway, so...
Fine.
I don't think we get to this, like, current day landscape where superheroes are, like, the most profitable, quote unquote, genre of film with the, like, biggest budgets and the most, you know, and all of these different avenues of approach where we could have, like, a fun, you know, goofy light time with Shazam, or really, like, earnest, iconic Wonder Woman time, or, like, these serialized television narratives like the MCU. All of these different things all being accepted en masse, unless we had a movie like Blade that kind of, like, cracked the code a bit. That was like, you know what? This can be dope, and it can make a lot of money, and will be badass, too. And even though I don't want all of my superhero movies to try to be badass, I think it was important that this one showed they could be.
Yeah.
Plus, Blade's cool. Blade's so cool. He's got a sword.
And it just now occurs to me, and I think that this had been talked about a little bit more, and now it's sad that, like, the whole Daredevil universe on Netflix, as part of, like, this offshoot of the MCU, kind of has gotten shut down.
Yeah.
Because Blade would have fit in perfectly there.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh yeah.
He would have been so, like, watching Daredevil and Jessica Jones and like, Luke Cage and...
Learn about vampires and have to deal with that stuff. That's great.
I want that, and I will never have it.
Sorry. No.
Because that's the perfect place for Blade. Because Blade doesn't... If Blade saw people flying through the sky and just, like, punching, like, weird giant robots, he'd be like, nah, I don't fuck with that shit.
Yeah, he's got other things on his plate.
Yeah.
You know, he's... God.
He's your friendly neighborhood vampire slayer.
Oh, God. Yeah, and of course, look, swords are cool, slaying vampires are cool, and Wesley Snipes is very cool. Wesley Snipes is very cool. So, like, all those combinations together, especially when I was, like, 8, 9, and 10, I was like, this is the best movie I've ever seen. Like, this is so cool. Well, this and Jurassic Park are the best movies I've ever seen. This and Jurassic Park and The Princess Bride are the best movies I've ever seen. So, like... I think
Zach's previous episode on Ideal Remake was Princess Bride. Look forward to his future episode, which might be Jurassic Park. Who knows? We haven't talked about it, but we'll see what happens.
Anyway, I do think that there are still demons to be slayed, and there is still like a potent metaphor here that is applicable to our times. I think we could have a new Blade, and it could really land well if it was done well. If it was an Ideal Remake, I think it might do really well.
But
yeah.
So then, with that in mind, let's actually talk about the movie, because let's talk about the aspects of Blade that we like, and possibly, if some exist, aspects of the movie that we don't like.
Sure. Yeah.
The first time I saw this movie, especially because it takes us a little while to actually meet Blade, there's that aspect of me that I'm like slowly trying to figure it out and follow, and there's this, they literally do the thing that happens in Buffy where it's this dude and this lady, they're going someplace, oh, let's go make out over here. No, let's go make out over here. And then you think it's gonna be the dude, but it turns out it's the lady.
Sure, yeah.
And that's great, and it's fun. And then they have this like weird blood rave where blood comes out of the sprinkler system.
Yeah, they do.
And that just seems A, so wasteful. Because B, do they have people hooked up to machines that are just... That's a lot of blood!
It's a lot of blood, but like I'm sure they collected it first and then had like special tanks, because it only lasts a certain amount of time. Like the rave is going, they're having fun, and then they just turn on the blood for like... It's like when the beat was dropping, you know?
Right. But nonetheless, it's still gallons of blood.
Oh my god.
And like to harvest gallons of blood, people would notice if that many people went missing.
Well, there's also like, it's an international syndicate of, vampires that have existed forever.
Right. But this is the offshoot. This is
Deacon's Club.
This is Deacon's Club.
Yeah.
The International Syndicate looks down on what he's doing. They ain't gonna cover that up.
No, but like...
I mean, they might just to like... We're covering this up, but knock this shit out.
I feel like stockpiling blood for long enough. You have that many vampires. Like
blood doesn't last.
Blood doesn't. Can you freeze blood?
I think temporarily, but whenever like you give blood, they're like, it's gonna go to someone within the week.
Yeah, because it has to be used. I mean, it's like a perishable.
Right.
Yeah.
It is a perishable good.
Yeah, that is a lot of people. Counterpoint. It looks fucking awesome.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, really cool. I'm all for it. But yeah, that's the beginning of Blade.
Yeah.
And
then Blade shows up and kicks ass.
Blade shows up and kicks ass, and he kills most of the vampires, but one of them, even though he like burns the crap out of him and stakes him to a wall or whatever, survives. And when the police raid the area, they take that vampire to the hospital thinking he's a regular person. And then he infects Karen. What's her name? Karen Jensen. Dr. Karen Jensen, the hematologist.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Which was so good. Like, we watched this movie a couple weeks ago, and like we're like, oh, a doctor who specializes in blood. Of course, that's so smart.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a damsel woman with agency.
Yeah, and that her unique skill set is what allows them to, win in the end and do all these cool things.
Like literally, if she was not involved, they would lose.
Yeah, totally. And I thought that was really cool. That if you're going to have It didn't feel like... There can be that trend where they're like, all right, we got a female character, we want her to be interesting, but we don't want her to be one of these like bad tropes.
Yeah.
We'll just make her a scientist, or she likes science as a personality type.
Yeah, the Men in Black principle.
Right. And that like any, commonly used trope, that can be done really poorly and ham-handedly, or it can be done in a, well-integrated way. And what I like about Karen is that, like, it's not a substitute for her personality.
Right.
Like, you could almost feel, if this stuff hadn't gone down on this one particular day, we still could have watched a movie about Karen, like, living her life and having other stuff to deal with, and she would feel like a full person.
Right.
She doesn't take people's crap, and she is, intuitive and interesting and intelligent and all that. And again, her specific skill set works. It's not just we randomly have a, I don't know, science person. It's, they were at a hospital, she's a, hematologist who works there, and all of the threads coincide. I liked that a lot.
I agree. What I was going to say is that it's this club, and everyone's raving out and dancing, and one of the things they kind of talk about is they have kind of this boardroom full of uber vampires or whatever.
Yeah.
But all of the kind of vampires on the street are kind of like coked out dummies.
Sure.
And I was thinking about it, and that made total sense for me in terms of world building.
Yeah.
Because, Zach, what's the reason that you personally don't do heroin all the time?
I don't want to... I'm sure it's a fantastic experience. I don't want to ruin my life. Where are you going with this?
Well, there's two reasons.
Okay.
One, it would kill you.
Yes, could.
And the second reason is it would mess your body up something bad.
I guess.
Before doing the first one.
Yeah.
But if you're a vampire, those two things don't happen. All you get are the positive effects of, hey, that felt great.
Yeah.
What do you want to do for breakfast?
Sure. I mean,
because you have the healing, you can't be killed by drugs and overdoses because
yeah,
you can only be killed. You literally can only be killed by sunlight and like silver to the heart or whatever it is.
Right.
And
so your sense of risk taking gets shifted a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, there's the one where like, oh well, if you're living forever, why not seek the joy in the moment? And I think that that's fine. Like we're in a moment where that's fine because like if you're immortal, do the things that are fun.
Yeah.
But also, if all of the negative aspects of drug use disappeared, there would be a lot more drug use.
Probably. Sure. Yeah.
And, but for me, I found it super interesting that the vampires were still a little bit off, still felt, even when they weren't necessarily on drugs, it still looked like it was slowly affecting their brain.
Yeah.
Because it might, like, the vampire that got burned up, Quinn.
Yes.
He is clearly a druggie. Like, his demeanor and everything, and even, like, when he's coming to and sober and everything, he still has that little bit of, like, oh, this guy's done drugs.
Sure.
Even if he's not currently doing them. And
And
I find it interesting to, like, kind of talk about, like, well, okay, if you're always chasing the next, like, how do you keep upping the stakes if you're a vampire?
Yeah.
What's, like, the super drug? Are they just, like, mainlining arsenic?
I don't know. Like, because we see Quinn's, like, physical body withstand things that are, you know, insane. It's almost like a slow motion Wolverine type thing that he's got going on. Like, you know, you can cut off his entire arm and after a couple days it will grow back all weird Deadpool style. Yeah. Or, you know, you can burn him to a crisp and he will eventually be okay. Mm-hmm. So I feel like there's no traditional abuse of the body, like, frame that would be an issue for him outside of those normal vampire weaknesses.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm sure the vampire drug scene in this universe is outlandish and scary and weird. And
I think that's interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Just a weird side note about drugs. The reason why there are things that affect the human body and that are like caffeine, for example, is a poison that is developed by the coffee plant because it kills bugs.
Right.
But we're so much bigger than bugs and we're able to handle so much more poison. That's why caffeine and coffee and everything, like, we take that in and it's like, oh, this is amazing. I feel awake.
Yeah.
So you take that and then it's the next step up and it's vampires, and something that would be poisonous to humans now all of a sudden is like coffee to vampires.
Right. Yeah. So maybe you've got them, like, I don't know, sipping on Drano or something just to, like, stay awake through the night or something.
I mean, I would love it if, like, you're dealing with it and it's just a vampire who's like, yeah, this is uranium.
Sure.
It messes you up. But we'll heal.
Yeah. Well, if
it's not sunlight.
If, like, literally your brain cells could regenerate, like, couldn't you do something that was, like, horrendously damaging to, like, your actual physical brain tissue?
Right.
And then that's what gets you high or something. I don't know. That is an interesting bit of, like, world. I'd never considered that while watching this movie. I just thought it was, like, you know, raves are a thing and raves are cool.
It was the 90s, I understand.
Yeah. But yeah,
but that's a particular aspect of the world that I'd like to see expanded on, because if you're immortal, what else do you do?
Yeah.
You can either have long-term, you can either live for the long term or you can live for the short term.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would be the divide in vampire kind. The people who are all short term, which are the people in Deacon Frost's rave.
Yeah.
Or the people who are living for the long term, which is the boardroom people.
Right. The pure blood vampires. The vampire elders. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, because, like, Dragonetti has a whole bit later in the film where he's talking about, like, that they don't consider Deacon Frost or anybody like him to even be, like, a full vampire because they were turned from human beings. Mm-hmm. Like, a vampire who was born a vampire, that's, like, the best of the best or whatever. So, yeah, I don't know.
Just standard wizard mythology.
Yeah.
Harry Potter shenanigans.
And again, like, you know, I think this taps into some of that similar appeal. My friend Adam was talking the other day about, like, the fact that the a lot of the location shooting in Blade was done in Manhattan, but a lot of the establishing shots are in Los Angeles.
Oh, interesting.
That it's like, and obviously there's sets and stuff, like when we have the La Magra demon confrontation at the end or whatever.
Yeah.
But in terms of the feeling that it has, you have this almost weird disconnect where you're not sure geographically where things are, but it all feels real because our exterior shots are in real locations and our interior shots are mostly in real locations and our establishing shots are of real locations, that it feels like a world that's palpably real, and that this sort of stuff could exist in it somehow, that just, if you scratch the surface, this could be underneath there, which I think is part of the appeal of something like Harry Potter, is that like the secret wizarding world, and the Muggle world separate from, Blade even has that line about, the world you live in is a sugar-coated topping. There's another world beneath it, the real world. And like, I think this sort of detail that you picked up on with like the, what is it like to have drug use with vampires or whatever, that it's a world that feels lived in. It's a world that feels, I would buy that this type of underground existed. Maybe not this specific one, because it is so late 90s, but but something like this. Maybe vampires are still all living in the late 90s.
If you're a vampire, you live so long, you can pick an era that appeals to you and stick with it.
Yeah, or your cycling of trends doesn't happen seasonally. Maybe it happens every couple of decades.
Yeah.
So like, if crop tops are in, they're in for like 40 years.
Right.
Yeah.
But it also could very much be like, well, human seasons are like what they are, and like vampires could just be having their own whole separate fashion line and separate things, because like, what's in this season of the 90s?
Yeah,
black. Next season, the early 2000s. Who knows?
Sure. Yeah, or at least have it be like weird and scary and whatnot. Like the silhouette of Blade, I remember being so like striking when I saw it.
Yeah.
It was the first time I saw that sort of like tactical semi-military vest thing, along with the big, again, this was before the Matrix, so the big flowy coat and whatnot. I don't know what the equivalent to that is today of like a unique style that is immediately iconic or something like that. But maybe vampire style is like
I'm not aware of one that would fit.
Yeah, but I'm sure one must exist.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And that would be...
the thing is that like that style somewhat has persisted, because there are still people who wear long coats, dress in all black, that sort of thing. And it's not necessarily a good or a bad thing. It's just some people they feel better in that kind of clothing.
I went to a Depeche Mode thing like last year or whatever. It was a like cover band of Depeche Mode or whatever. But like, there's just like full grown like goths, like adult goths. It's awesome.
I haven't been to it yet, but there's a goth club in Hollywood.
Yes, yeah.
Have you been?
I haven't personally been, but I think a mutual friend told us about it.
Oh, I may have heard about it from her, but I have another friend who.
Regardless, like that, the scene still exists, and it has like permutated in different ways, but like this particular aesthetic is, people really liked it and latched onto it in some sort of way. And so I don't know, do you continue to have that in the new one, or do you try to create a whole new framework? I just want it to at least be distinct from the Muggles, for lack of a better term, to avoid the problem with the current Harry Potter films, right?
Where everyone looks the same.
Yeah, where like, go look up, listener at home, like pull up a Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Fantastic Beasts, Crimes of Grindelwald, or whatever. Like,
don't watch it.
Don't
by
watch
all
it.
Means.
No, but like Google the like character posters for that or whatever.
Right.
And you will just see a sea of people all wearing long
turn of the century.
Yeah, just like turn of the century stuff, and they've got like long gray coats. Everybody's got a long gray coat and shoes or whatever, and none of the Muggles look any different from the wizards. And like, I always thought the whole point of wizarding fashion was that, like, if you saw somebody, they don't know how do you dress? What does it look like? People in long flowy robes. How does, like, Dumbledore go from wearing a 3-piece suit with, like, a vest and a waistcoat and everything, all, like, really slick Jude Law, to, like, Richard Harris in his giant wizard hat?
In his pajamas.
Like, I want the pajama wizards.
All the time. I agree.
Yeah.
And so then here's my question about vampires.
Yeah.
Do vampires look like the late 90s because that's what was popular at the time, because they were on the cutting edge of fashion, or do the vampires look like that because they define the fashion?
Ooh.
Are they always ahead of the curve, Or are they just picking and choosing the things they like? Because if you live forever,
Yeah.
why not be like, oh, the humans are dressing like this now. What are we going to wear so we don't look like these humans?
Yeah.
And then humans slowly pick up on that.
Honestly, it could be both, because, like, I think it's not a very subtle thread in this film that, like, the, elder vampires represent sort of, like, institutionalized power and whatnot.
Big
that,
business, institutionalized power.
Yeah. So, like, I am sure that for the vampires to be this, like, elite force underground feeding off of people and whatnot, they probably have amassed traditional power as well. Mm-hmm. And so maybe they are in charge of the fashion companies and whatnot, and maybe they are setting the trends and living by them and whatnot. I just want things to look really cool. And I don't know enough about fashion to, like, describe how to do that. Maybe our friend Sarah might. Like,
I mean, honestly.
Yeah. But that's a thing, because it's a thing I think about a lot when we talk about remakes, which is that if you are going to do the thing again, you can't literally just do the thing again.
Right. You need to find the essence of the thing and then see how that applies to modern day.
Right, exactly. That, like, a remake of X film has to land the way that film did. That's the important thing.
Right.
So if we just had Blade look exactly the way he looks, I mean, sure, it would be cool. I think he still looks cool. I think the late 90s aesthetic is still dope. But my hope would be you could come up with something where when he shows up in the film and strikes an interesting silhouette, that immediately whatever equivalent of me at 8 years old is seeing that for the first time in the modern day is like, whoa, that's awesome. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
That feels like a successful remake to me.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Fashion. I don't know.
Yeah. I wish I knew more about it, but also I trust that people will let me know.
Yeah. So, I mean, we kind of went off of our plot summary of the original Blade, but
there'll be a mini episode. People either watch the movie or they've seen the movie. I don't think we need to give a plot synopsis.
Right.
Just, like, kind of point by point. But, like, to your point of how do we figure out the way it applies today?
Yeah.
I mean, from Deacon Frost's perspective, there is in his case, 12, but there's a group of old people who are slowly turning to dust, and they're making the decisions about everyone else around them.
Yeah.
I don't know how that could possibly apply to us. And what if there were 7 of them?
Yeah.
One of them's great.
And then, like, the rest, you're like, wow.
And there's one who's great, a couple that are good, and the rest that are just... Like, let's say something was going to come out about a conflict of interest. Yeah. So one of them was like, hey, let this other vampire come in. Everyone agrees he's terrible, but we want him.
Because he's going to advance our specific vampire interests better than...
But the important thing is that it's old people who have no concepts and knowledge of the future that young people, might want to stay alive.
Yeah.
And not be destroyed by the world.
Yeah.
Like, literally...
That feels prescient. Yeah.
Literally, these poor vampires... 50% of the day, they go outside, they get killed.
Yeah.
Don't you want to be in a world that is a little bit more environmentally conscious of us?
Yeah. Don't we want some of
as young vampires?
Don't we want some of what that Daywalker's got? Yeah. I mean, it's a multi-layered... None of this stuff is subtle, I guess, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work.
It's not... It's not subtle if if you want to be paying attention.
Right, if you want to be paying attention. Like,
if you don't want to be... then it's just, vampires are sweet.
Yeah. My friend Alec, he goes by Vice Victus on Twitter and writing and whatnot. He had a really great piece about Blade that I don't even want to try to touch on too much because he says everything way better than I can.
Well, what's the name of the article and people can look it up?
The Cutting Edge of Cool, I think it's called. I will look it up to make sure I know what it's called.
It's not called The Biting Edge of Cool?
No, because Cutting Edge, because Blade...
Oh, because he has a sword.
Yeah.
I was doing a vampire thing, but he has a sword. It makes more sense your way.
Yeah,
his way, whatever.
The Bleeding Edge of Cinema is what it's called. Blade, The Leading Edge of Cinema. It's on Loot and Bus. But he mentioned that there is a vibe to Blade, that's obviously referencing like old blaxploitation films and stuff like that. And one of the key aspects of blaxploitation is like having a guy fight against the man. Like it won't have that feel if it's not there, basically. And so that's not a subtle thing to have like all of the like evil vampires be like old crusty white people, and then like our hero be like a black guy kicking ass. But that's still potent stuff.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be, subtle or, sometimes when you're subtle, people don't even know what you're doing, you know? Like,
Starship Troopers made sequels and people didn't get it.
yeah, there are sequels to Starship Troopers that are just like, you know what's being great? Being a Starship Trooper. Like, I love this society. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's a tricky thing. So if ever people are talking about, like, it's a little simplistic, the messaging in Blade, a simple message done well, I think is still super potent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And plus you get to see vampires fight, and it's great.
Plus you get to see vampires fight, it's awesome.
So for the vampires in our movie, I still think that metaphor applies.
Yes.
And I still think that's something that we should have because, I mean, it fits the movie. It makes this a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And I think we just need to kind of come up with, all right, well, this is a movie that came out in the late 90s. How does Blade deal with technology?
Yeah. And again, like, those threads were already there. Like, there's that whole aspect where in order to summon the Lamagra demon, they have to, like, translate these old, like, texts, these old vampire texts that can't be translated. Like, Udo Kier is really pissed about it. And Deacon uses, like, a brute force approach with, like, an algorithm on a computer to finally do it. And none of the vampire elders thought that could be done.
No.
So
Dragon Knight is like, you couldn't possibly understand this.
Yeah. So I think Deacon has to be, like, a millennial up-and-comer guy.
He has to be. Because the other thing is like, oh, well, I found these ancient vampire texts. It's basically their Bible.
Yeah.
I'm going to destroy them. Because it made no sense to me when we were watching the movie that, like, these other vampires wouldn't be like, this is our Bible. We cannot harm this.
Yeah.
And I just wanted Blade to be like, all right, I'm going to torch this place.
Yeah. So,
and then, like, we get to Deacon in the next scene is like, no, I digitized...
Right, that it could be like a false victory or something.
Yeah.
That, like, oh, I finally got them. He's like, man, I got hard drives on hard drives on hard drives here.
Like do you think I don't have redundancy? Bro, I can pull the whole text up on my watch.
Yeah. I have. Should we get into some of our, like, ideas on casting at this point?
I always do casting last. Because I kind of want to do, like, plot and, like, figure out where we're going.
So I'm just going to put a pin on the fact that, like, when we talk about the elder vampires, I have just a funny idea.
Oh, I'm excited about all of it.
Okay.
But let's talk about Deacon.
Yeah.
Because this will affect casting a little bit as well. One of the things that I thought was super interesting, and they don't get into until, like, the second half of the third act, is that, like, Deacon's been banging Blade's mom, and he's the vampire that bit her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, where was that the rest of the movie? So if I'm going to be completely honest, I combined Deacon Frost and Blade's mom.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Oh. I'm not familiar with, like, the lore, the comic book, whatever. But for me, she's a new vampire. Mm-hmm. And, like, immediately she's a new vampire. It's like, oh, I've done all this crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, now that I'm a vampire, I totally get and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But, like, for me, A, let's get more women in here. And B, I find it more compelling if the thing that he's been searching for is also actively the thing he's been fighting against.
I think that's still there in the original text. I think
it is too. I just want to bring it a little bit more to the surface.
I think it's interesting. I think it's an interesting point. I don't want to mess too much with the fact that Deacon is, you know, a new generation of vampire, but he's still part of the same oppressive power structure. And I don't know if that reads the same way if it's a black woman, you know?
I don't disagree. You're right.
Yeah.
Because part of the reason is that it's like, oh, well, women have never been elder vampires.
Right.
And so, because I kind of, like, we're never on Deacon's side, really.
Yes.
But I kind of would like it if we were.
And he's an interesting character. Let me throw this your way.
If he wasn't just so darn 90s.
Here's the thought I had.
Please.
I thought we should have Whistler be a black woman instead of crusty old white.
I'm okay with all of those things because when we were watching this movie originally, Zach and I both kind of turned to each other and were like, well, we would just recast this as Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
It's clearly Jeff Bridges. But because we're making this stay within an MCU universe, for my Whistler, I literally wrote Jeff Bridges and then crossed it out and put my actual casting
like,
next to it. We
Bridges.
can't have Jeff Bridges.
Right. Because my thought was, so part of the story of Blade is, you know, he is the way he is because when his mother was pregnant with him, she was bitten and attacked by a vampire. And so, like, he was all... And then he was born and thought she died immediately. But the mix of, like, human and vampire DNA is, like, why... I don't even know how the vampirism works, really.
Right.
But that's why he's the Daywalker, that he can withstand sunlight without burning up. He doesn't have the, like, aging immortality that the vampires do, but he has most of their strengths and whatnot. But he doesn't have weakness to garlic and things like that. That's why he's uniquely suited to be a, slayer of vampires and whatnot. Right. And that he loses his mom and then finds her at the end. I think there's like weird thematic stuff there that I don't know enough about to want to erase from the picture there. Stuff
I agree.
With like, I mean, it's a hard R movie. Mm-hmm. I guess an MCU one
wouldn't be hard R.
Yeah.
On the same note, though, we also deal with a couple of different things. Mm-hmm. One, Deacon kind of encouraged his minions to not kill Blade because it turns out he needs Blade.
Yeah, he needs it for the magic.
Right,
yeah.
But we don't know how recently this thing was translated. He didn't necessarily know that he needed Blade.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting I guess technically that's my son. I don't want my son to die. So, like protecting that, and then as soon as it turns out that Blade is useful in this other context, forget that. You come over here and stand in this Iron Maiden.
Yeah, no.
Like, now we need... I was keeping you alive because you're my kid, but, now I need you for something. Get in the hole.
Yeah. I don't know.
We can have a conversation, because we'll see what happens with casting. But,
that's interesting.
I feel like there's got to be more of a reason to keep Blade alive, other than just, he's neat.
He's very neat. We need him. Well, or involve the mother sooner, even if Blade doesn't know about it.
Yeah, because there were two characters that could have been the random platinum blonde lady who has been in the movie the whole time, and all of a sudden is at the end
didn't
because
even bother casting
women
her.
fight women or something.
Yeah, she's like a scary blonde vampire. I don't know.
Yeah. Because I thought she should you have your main villains who are on your side, the people who are like, here's our plan, here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Because if you're just lone wolfing it,
it's not.
You're a vampire. They fly in. I don't know what a group of bats is called.
I don't know. Flock?
That seems wrong.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
I have a whole list of interesting birds, but bats aren't birds. What would be a group of bats? But I know you're looking it up. But what's your best guess?
Oh, a group of bats is all right. Let's see. A constitution of bats.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to say a reverberation of bats.
That's good. Because
of the echolocation and everything.
That's cool. Yeah. Or a nightmare of bats.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the word I'm looking for? Collective noun. Let's see. Bat collective noun is apparently a colony or a cloud.
A cloud is really good.
That's cool. All right. You got me already, Internet. But yeah, I mean, it is a movie where the themes are interesting and the commentary is clear. Mm-hmm. So that is hard to mess with, but the interpersonal relationships can be adjusted in different ways.
Absolutely.
And so that's where I'm feeling it now, because as it's structured, and it's a very functional script as it has originally, it's a lot of we have these coincidences that happen where a person gets caught up in this world, and luckily they're very helpful to it. But a lot of the structure of the early film is Karen learning about the vampire world so that we can as well. And that works fine.
Yeah, and I think that's important. After having watched Shazam this morning, we were talking about how all of the DC movies that have worked have been origin stories.
Yeah.
Because you can't get people to trust a character unless they're introduced to the character. You can't just go, there he is. Yeah?
Yeah, we all like him, right?
Money?
Yeah. Which is
now, please?
Which, again, every film has to introduce their characters in some way. It doesn't have to be their literal origin. But
is she with you?
Right. What is that? Oh, she was with you. But then, Wonder Woman was great.
So, right. Yeah. It's an origin story.
Yeah. So Karen, I think the order she's introduced to stuff, or when we cut back from her journey learning about vampires, I think you're right that there's room in there where we could deal with Deacon's motivations and or the mother stuff earlier in the film, so it's not just held off.
I find Karen super interesting, and I would have liked to have spent more time with her, because it's kind of her arc is somewhat more alluded to than actually present, in the sense that it's she kind of starts as a nice person, but as she's slowly turning into a vampire, she's becoming more and more mean, more cruel.
Yeah.
Just with the way she tortures Pearl, for example. That's kind of the big indicator.
Yeah.
But I would love to see more of that, of realizing that she's going, realizing that it's happening to her.
Yeah.
And realizing that she's shifting it, and more desperation in finding this cure.
Yeah.
And...
because it's almost treated as well, yeah, that's got to happen, so it's happening.
Yeah.
Like, all of the...
We all know it's going to happen.
The setup is there, the execution is there, but it's not like... I don't think it's given much drama.
Right.
Yeah, for lack of a better term. So, yeah, I think that's a good change,
and
too.
Part of the reason why I want Deacon to kind of have, like, a more close relationship with his or her people is because their ultimate plan is to replace the board of vampire directors.
Yeah, the elders. Or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Deacon can't do everything on their own. That person needs a close community. So be it... I picked Mercury. I assume that was her name. There was someone else that it could have been. I don't know.
Dude.
It doesn't matter. So I'm going to call her Mercury.
Yeah.
Mercury, Quinn, and if we include Blade's mom as an additional other person, just because these are the people who are the long-term planners but still enjoy the short-term thing.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I do think that's the dichotomy and the split between vampire kind: the short-term people and the long-term people.
That's good. I'm trying to keep as much as I can the through line from how white supremacy in all of its forms is an evil that needs to be fought, and how it manifests in gross ways. And so where I was leaning with story-wise was having Deacon be more of kind of like an alt-right figurehead type of person.
Interesting.
That he connects to people and gets loyal. What do you
the board of directors are old school Republicans and Deacon's a Proud Boy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and that we have this one little bit that's hinted to twice in the original film about familiars, regular human beings who are branded by certain vampires that maybe eventually if there's
so much lore in this movie that they kind of just accept and move on,
which is cool,
right? The familiars, the weird zombie dude at the end,
yeah,
and they're just this is a thing that happens.
Yeah, we got places to be though, so let's go. And so
but keep going. I'm sorry.
So the idea that he could get a groundswell of support, not just from siring his own vampires and getting stuff like that together, but that he could also spread online theories and stuff like that to get loyal human followers and stuff like that. The way
that's really good.
I thought that would be a cool thing. I don't know how well that tracks if it's
not.
No,
I think that tracks because because I think technology needs to be more present.
Yeah.
Because especially look, you can look down on humans and disdain humans, but at the end of the day, humans come up with some cool shit.
They really do.
And you should be able to say, yeah, but that's cool. I'm going to use that. I'm not just going to shun it because a human made it up.
Right. That humans can create amazing things that can be used to either liberate people, maybe
they are our livestock, both in food and in technology.
Right. Yeah. Oh, look at this.
They serve us.
This is a handy dandy thing they made. Yeah.
The internet.
Yeah. I don't know. That's because so much of my life is dealing with online stuff and whatnot. I just think the idea of the internet being dangerous as well as helpful is, there's fertile ground there.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
Huh. Because I'm on your side. I think that's interesting, and I think that's a good parallel to draw.
Dope.
Okay.
But because I wasn't as inventive with the rest of the story, that it's still a means to the end of raising La Magra to destroy the rest of the,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, because you purge the people who are not worthy.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, I didn't like the idea of La Magra because I'm you're killing all of your food. Can't do that. For me, La Magra is more interesting just because if he is the unanswerable powerhouse, the ultimate figurehead, everyone will do what he says.
Yeah, it's Ubermensch stuff.
Yeah, Ubermensch stuff.
Yeah.
You don't wipe out the unbelievers. You either forcibly convert them or you subjugate them.
Yes.
And La Magra would give him the power to subjugate.
Okay, yeah.
So
if he's physically the most powerful creature on Earth, then he can do whatever he wants. Yeah.
And literally, I could even be that moment where Deacon curls his hand, and any vampires that are left alive, he can control them.
Oh.
If it gives him power over blood.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because it's all about blood with this guy, right?
Yeah.
And so he can control everything, and just the only reason that he can't control... Literally, I'd be okay with him being able to control all vampires and controlling all people as long as they're not in the sun.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. Some Ultron shit.
Yeah. And like, so everyone else is in the shadows, but, like, something gets broken and, like, Blade tries to take him out. And, like, he gets hit, like, Lamagra gets hit by sunlight, which was literally the reason he was doing this, because he wanted to, like, live in the sun. And he's fine.
Yeah.
And he just walks around and goes and takes over everyone else. And then, like, Blade is in the sun for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Like, battle, that's where he ends up. And then Lamagra tries to control him, and literally the part of Blade that's in the shadows gets controlled, but then, like, in the sun, Blade's okay. So he had this moment where I finally have this thing I want, but I don't have it completely.
Yeah.
So I have all this power, but I only have this power in the darkness.
And I don't have it where it counts, where I'm envious, where all my jealousy is, which is this black guy's so cool.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so you literally have, like, this black guy, like, beam of light. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then he does the thing and kills Lamagra. Because all of a sudden Lamagra's like, no, I thought I had everything.
Yeah.
And then that's, like, he has this moment of weakness, and that's how Blade kills him.
Yeah, that's good. Because I think it's still... Then the... like, the sunblock scenes have even more...
Yeah.
Like, meaning, if that's where we're headed.
He's a vampire. Like, he started as human. He might have really liked sunbathing, being in the sun.
Yeah.
Something. And, like, that just got taken from him.
Yeah.
And that's just the thing he wants so much.
Plus, it's such a great villain scene. Like, I think the confrontation where, like...
Where he has, like, the little girl.
Deacon has a little girl, and he's, like, threatening to kill her or whatever, just so that he can, like, talk to Blade in the sunlight. And have that back and forth. I think it's just a great villain moment. And so to have that actually have, like, meaning that pays off later, I think it's cool.
And the way he even kills Dragonetti is, like...
Yeah!
And it just... I feel like he'd be like... I wanted it to be more like, you're lucky. You get to enjoy the sun for a little bit.
Yeah. And then it puts on the thing. That's cool. Okay, I like it. Okay, so our update now, overall, would be technology helping the young movement overtake the old type of thing.
Because the young can adapt.
Because the young can adapt, and he's got this, toxic groundswell of support that he gets from, his online alt-right shenanigans. And
they're literally self-tattooing with his mark.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, I mean, that's basically what it is. It's a tattoo, and tattoos are very popular now.
They sure are.
And you want to prove loyalty to a community, oftentimes you get a tattoo of that community.
There was this whole thing I was reading about the other day, which is this trend with, like, SoundCloud rappers and stuff now. Which is, because a lot of the, like, proliferation of your music happens through, like, Instagram and stuff these days. That's how you gain, like, followers and mentions and whatnot. That there's a trend among SoundCloud rappers, people who don't have, major label support and whatnot, is that they get tattoos on their face. Because when you are doing selfies and stuff on Instagram, your literal face is part of your brand.
Right.
And if it becomes distinct in some specific way, then, that brand carries itself, through all the other different aspects of communication, so that, like, it's more important to have a visual connotation to your thing that you're building, even if it's an audio thing, because you're going to be on a visual platform.
So that's super fascinating.
Yeah, and it's like, it's people who don't even like tattoos really, or aren't, like, interested in them aesthetically, but it's helpful to their goal, so they get these tattoos. And then there's people who are fans of the SoundCloud rappers who get
the same
tattoo on their face, even though they're not trying to do the same thing. And it's like...
That's wild.
Yeah. So that, I mean, there's precedent. Like, that's totally there.
Good, I like that.
I like that. And then, but the Lamagra has an actual, functional purpose beyond just the destruction.
Right.
Okay. I think that all fits.
I mean, because overall, we like the basic structure of Blade. We like Blade and Whistler coming together using technology to defend humanity, defeat vampires, because good versus evil.
That's what's cool.
We like Karen. We like the hematologist. We like her arc and want more of it.
Yeah. I like all the stuff with, like, the serum. And,
I think that's amazing because it's a contribution, and literally you can't win without that.
Yeah.
Because you need the new technology in order to defeat the old, and it's all of this new technology that Deacon's using to bring about an ancient prophecy. So how do you defeat the ancient prophecy? With new technology.
That's cool.
Because, like, at the end of the day, he's still relying too much on this old traditional values, going back to the way things used to be instead of looking forward and making a better world for everybody.
That's cool, man. Yeah. I like it. All right.
Cool. All right, let's talk about casting.
Let's talk about casting. All right.
Whew. So do we start with Blade or do we end with Blade?
I don't know. Well, maybe let's start with Blade.
Yeah.
I have a sort of traditional thought, R.E. Blade,
All
which
right.
was, I'm not going to lie, a few years ago I saw the original theatrical version of Dear White People before it was a Netflix series.
Okay.
And one of the actors on it, Mark A. Richardson, I thought he was like so dynamic and interesting and really cool. And then a couple years later, when it got picked up to be a Netflix series, and then they had proper funding behind it and whatnot, some of the actors from the theatrical version came back, some of them didn't. But Mark A. Richardson still did come back.
Spelled Mark
It's
A.
Marque. I hope I'm saying it right. It could just be Mark and spelled in a cool way.
All possible.
All possible. And he plays a character called Reggie on that, who is, I think, a really interesting take on like modern masculinity. And, honestly, he's kind of a villain for a certain part of the season, and then you learn more about him. And the long story short is there's a particular episode that Barry Jenkins directed of Dear White People that is focused on Reggie and a thing that happens to him at a party, and it's one of the best performances I've seen in a TV show. I think
Interesting.
Mark A. Richardson is amazing, and he's around, but he's not doing huge stuff after that. And after seeing him in that, a thing I thought just absentmindedly in the theater the first time I saw him on screen was like, that guy would make a good Blade. Like, I just thought it, and then it's been in my head for years that he's.
Plus, I think he's been a vampire before.
He has?
Well, he was on True Blood.
He was on True Blood.
I don't know if his character's a vampire. His name is Kenneth.
There's so many things about True Blood I don't remember. I definitely don't remember.
He was on a thing with vampires.
He was on a thing with vampires before, so he's familiar with the stuff.
Cool,
but,
I like him.
You can see like stuff. There's
yeah.
that his character Reggie wears this like one jacket, and I was like, oh man, like that's Blade. That's cool. So that's my top choice for Blade. What do you?
My choice for Blade is an actor named Jason Mitchell.
Jason Mitchell, not familiar. Let's find out.
You have seen him before. He was in Straight Outta Compton.
Oh.
He's in Mudbound, and he's in Kong Skull Island.
Oh, is he the main guy in Mudbound?
I think so. I'm not positive.
All right, say his name again. I'm looking him up.
Jason Mitchell.
Awesome. Look him up at home as well, viewers. Yeah. Oh, he's really great. Yeah.
And
because he was Eazy-E in Straight Outta Compton.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just like this idea because I like the idea of a Blade who's a little bit more current, who kind of like it would like if we're looking for someone who dresses on the cutting edge of whatever a vampire would wear and is going to cut an interesting look.
Yeah.
Like literally, I feel like this guy would be able to do it. Well, that's not a good example of him standing next to the guy playing Superfly.
Yeah, man. No, he's great. And both of these guys are around 32, 33 years old, which is similar. Wesley Snipes was like 36 when they made the first one, but
at just the right age to look ageless.
Yeah, just the right age to look ageless.
I mean, speaking as someone who's in their early 30s, this is as good as I'm ever going to look.
Let's preserve you in amber right now.
Yeah.
And again, early 30s is like core millennial age.
Yeah.
That's like the center, I think, of our whole thing. Because like I think millennials go up to like 38-ish and down
mid
to
late
like
30s.
Yeah, mid to late 30s and then down to like early 20s at this point.
Right.
That like if it is a millennial feel type story, I think that's a good age range for both of these guys. So either one of them.
They're both great.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think they both would be awesome.
Yeah.
Honestly, let's move on and see who gets more, and then we'll go with the other person's thing.
Let's keep going. Yeah. Let's see.
So what do we want to do for Deacon Frost? Because I like your idea of having, like, Proud Boys, in which case your idea for Deacon Frost is who we'll go with, because we'll have to go with my person for Blade's mom.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, because I had that idea about the Proud Boys thing, and then I was wondering if my pick would still fly with that, which was...
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So... And again, I would want there to be, a good director and writer who are even more educated on this stuff than I am.
Absolutely.
People who know what, like, the unique pressures and skill set and, like, what do you want out of this
I'm very
sort of power
excited to tell you
fantasy.
about my writer.
Yeah, good. I'm looking forward to it. Because a thought I'm having that I'm like, I think I would need to talk, like, with somebody who had more direct experience here is... Would it still work with like a person of color as Deacon rather than a white guy? Which was that there is that tension that exists between the vampire elders, who are the like old and encrusted, and then the younger ones, where even if you're trying to prove yourself to us, we don't consider you a pure blood version, you know? So go ahead and throw all those other people under the bus and try to prove yourself as much as you can. We still won't consider you X because you are Y. And so I was thinking
because of the way you were born.
Right. So like maybe having like an Asian American actor there or something there, where there is that tension of like, you know, racial discrimination isn't only in its like most harshest forms. There's also like, you know, you're being set up as the model minority type of things like that. That like,
and at this point we're aware that the board of directors for vampires wasn't exclusively white.
Right, yeah.
However, the metaphor that it...
The metaphor is clear.
Ours would not be either.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be nothing's ever black and white. There's always going to be people on one side or the other.
Right, yeah. And even if we are sticking, like, with parallels to real world stuff, like, you know, Proud Boys leading up into more traditional, like, you know, white supremacy, there are plenty of, I don't want to say tokenized, but like figureheads that are, you know, oh, here's a POC that, like, look, this one's gay and he still likes, you know, there's like Milo Yiannopoulos and things like that.
Yeah, and there's a big right-wing spokesperson who's a black woman, and I don't remember her name, but it's always one of those things where you're like listening to her and you're like, you believe these things? You're literally saying things that demean yourself.
Right. Because again, like there's rewards in place under white supremacy for people who are willing to throw other people under the bus.
Absolutely.
So,
because at the end of the day, it's all about greed and power. And if you're someone who wants greed and power, you will do whatever it takes to get things that since you believe you are entitled to everything, you will throw everything else away in order to get more and more and more.
Right, exactly. So my tentative Deacon Frost was Stephen Yen, from The Walking Dead and from Sorry to Bother You recently. I think he's a great actor, and he has this like this interesting, like, malevolent, like, cool, sexy edge to him, which I think is part of Deacon Frost. It's Yeun. Like,
oh, there he is.
I think about that bit where Deacon Frost, like, Stephen Dorff in the original film, like, it's an interesting, fascinating performance. But that bit where he's like, we're at the top of the fucking food chain. I think, like, Stephen Yeun could do that. I think he could pull it off. But I don't know.
Can we talk about how I would love to just have a weird moment where he says we're the top of the fucking food chain, and then like they keep all these weird pets or something, and a vampire gets eaten by a lion or something, and then later busts out of the lion because they can't be killed by a lion.
Yeah. Like tears him open from the inside out.
You look what you made me do.
I don't know if that would fit in the MCU, but it'd
be dope. A weird thing.
Yeah.
It just occurred to me because nothing else can kill them. They have to be the top of the food chain.
They have to be the top of the food chain. My backup, but I don't think the age thing works quite as well, was Nikolai Coster-Waldau from Game of Thrones, Jaime Lannister.
All right.
But like,
yeah, he's a good generic.
Yeah.
He kind of fits more with the person I cast for Dragonetti.
Okay.
Because, I mean, the people in the boardroom were all super old. I'm like, yeah, you're immortal. They don't
have to be super, super old.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you're right.
I think I cast someone in his 40s.
He would fit well as, like, a vampire elder that is, you know, having the whole thing. So, I don't know. That's where I was, but it's, again, I'm not...
I'd be more tempted to go with Stephen Yen just because I think it's interesting casting.
Yeah.
And because I think he's cool.
He is very cool. All right. Onward and upward.
So now let's talk about Blade's mom.
Yes. Yeah.
For me, because I cast someone who I think could function both as the charismatic evil leader and so could be likable.
Yeah.
While also having the acting chops to kind of turn and go, this is what I'm about.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to cast Zazie Beetz.
Zazie Beetz, that's fun.
Because it's unexpected, because if you're introduced to her in such a way that you're like, oh, no, I'm on your side, and then she just does something, and you're like, oh, man. Because I want us to start on her side, and then I want her to lose us as an audience. But some people she keeps.
Right.
Because she's super charismatic and compelling.
Very charming.
And I would believe things she says.
That's legit.
We already know that she's an action star. And she's not yet really in the MCU.
Yeah, I mean, she's in Deadpool, but...
She's in Deadpool, but that's...
Well, Deadpool 2.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Interesting.
And so she's just that's separate. So we already know that she can kind of function with that language in terms of like action and combat and violence.
Yeah.
And also be charismatic and compelling.
I dig it. For Blade's mom, I picked Naomi Harris.
Okay.
And because one of the things is, I think if we're adapting something to the MCU, we are going to get like some nitpickers. I know like Blade is a cultural force, is fairly distinctly American, and we both picked like American actors to play him.
Right.
But in the comics, he's British.
Is he?
Yeah. I don't know. Originally. So I thought maybe if his mom is British, that might at least like
interesting
have calmed down some of the comic book actually folks.
Oh, I don't care about them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like it would. The way that, like, it's a cute little reference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also just really like Naomi Harris. Like, I think she's super cool.
I've seen her in stuff and she's great.
Yeah. Because, she was in, she was Eve in Skyfall, and way back in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, she was around as that. She was in Moonlight as Paula.
I'm going to suggest we stick with Zazie Beetz.
So that we can have that contrast thing.
Yes, yeah. But also, at the very end of the movie, when Blade's mom is tying him into like the weird Iron Maiden thing.
Yeah.
And you have this weird sexual Oedipal thing.
It's Greek.
Super gross and weird.
Yeah.
That kind of works if they're the same age. Yeah. If not, she's younger.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we're vampires. We live forever. Human rules don't apply to us.
Right. Yeah.
And
it's
one of those things where like someone in the audience would be like, well, they'd be cute together.
Yeah, I mean, and again, like, Naomi Harris is not that old.
She's not. She's 42. She's like 8 years older.
8 years older than them. But
maybe.
But the weirdness would get racked up if they're all in the same sort of age bracket. Okay, I like Zazie. Let's go with that. Cool. She's cool.
So then our whistlers are going to be very, very different. So let me tell you about my whistler, who's a bit of a one-for-one. Because, I couldn't do Jeff Bridges.
No one can. Yeah.
So I did Peter Stormare.
Oh, legit. Okay. Oh, God, I love him.
Yeah, he's great. And the kind of concept of like this old world guy who's applying his old world knowledge to help the youngin' get it together. And just dry and bitter and angry. Literally an old mean guy with a heart of gold.
That's fun. Yeah. Did we watch Constantine together?
The movie?
The movie.
I've never seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen Constantine?
I should. I would watch Constantine.
Man. Yeah. Peter Stormare plays the devil in that, and it's one of my favorite performances.
Well, I know him most recently from American Gods.
Oh, okay. I haven't watched
where
that yet.
You should watch it.
Okay.
He plays... I'm looking it up because I want to make sure I pronounce this right.
That's all right. But, if you guys aren't familiar with Peter Stormare, seek him out. He's a Swedish actor. He's, very interesting.
Because that's the other thing. Like, he pulls from, like, some of the old...
Like, Norse feelings of, like...
Yeah, like, old world vampires.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Because they had to...
His name in American Gods is Chernabog.
Oh,
he's literally a guy... He's basically like a Thor equivalent.
Cool.
He's not Thor.
Yeah.
But, like, he's literally just a guy with a giant hammer.
That's hilarious. I love it.
And it's great.
That's fun. Okay, I like that. Sort of a Watcher's Council-esque vibe to him. Yeah. Mine was Octavia Spencer.
She'd be great.
I mean, like, that would be cool as hell.
Yeah. I mean, I've never seen her play a character that's, like, technical know-how, but I've definitely seen her play a character that's bitter and angry.
Oh, yeah. And, like, I was thinking about it because... I don't know what I was watching recently, but there was a trailer for Ma in front of it. Have you seen the trailers for Ma yet? A horror film with Octavia Spencer. But, like, it was just that thought of, like, I love that Octavia Spencer is, like, this super acclaimed, amazing actress who can destroy in any drama role you throw at her. And she actively seeks out interesting, strange, like, genre stuff. Like Snowpiercer and this Ma movie. Because it gives her more to do. Like, there's actually, like, cool... weird stuff she can do with performance and whatnot, and I love the idea of her being
she's also a good marker that a movie will be good,
right?
Because Octavia Spencer's in the movie. Like, there are a lot of people who like go back and forth between doing good movies and bad movies, but Octavia Spencer's almost exclusively in movies that are at least compelling and interesting.
Yeah, and it would help us bump up our female count in the movie.
True.
Yeah.
That's good enough reason for me.
All right. Octavia Spencer.
I love Peter Stormare, but...
Oh my god, yeah, he'd be so cool. But let's put him in the Vampire Council or something.
Yeah.
we gotta keep Peter Stormare.
Well, let's do Karen, and then I'll tell you about the person I forgot.
Okay, cool.
So I went first to the last one. You go first for this one.
So I had a couple Karen options, Dr. Karen Jensen, and a lot of these were I was trying to match her age-wise with our with our Blade. Not that any like romantic couple in a film has to be the same age, but that because we have this generational thing in the script, I thought it would be good. So at any rate, choice number 1 was Megan Good, who you might have seen this morning in Shazam.
Oh,
she plays the adult,
the adult version of the little girl.
Yeah,
and she's obviously great.
She's great,
super fun and delightful.
Super fun and delightful.
I was watching this movie. I was like, oh, I'm going to use her for something in the future because she's just delightful.
She is so delightful. She's easy to fall in love with and whatnot. So that's good. I had another thought, which was a little left to center, and then I thought I might want to ease back of it, which was Vella Lovell, who is probably most well known from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I just think she's amazing, and I want her in everything. But the more I thought about it, the more I was thinking, as much as I want to put like more Desi representation in anything and everything, and how she's like one of my favorite actors, period. I feel like if you're making Blade, you don't want to like take away a black woman role.
Yeah.
Like, is that, I mean, I don't want to sound coarse in my phrasing,
no,
but like,
I tend to agree with you.
It's Blade, man. Like, probably the leads of Blade should be black.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Megan Good was my top choice.
I think Megan Good's really, really good. And I might just want to go with Megan Good, but my person is Janelle Monáe.
Oh, damn. Oh, yeah. Damn.
Someone who's supremely confident and competent.
Yeah, the most confident person on the planet?
Yeah. And like, but you start not that confident, and just like the more powerful she becomes, the more confident she gets, to the point where she is vampire level confident.
Oh, dang.
And then she gets completely drained of blood, and she's like, no, I can still kick butt, it's fine.
It's good. Oh, dude, what if Janelle Monáe was Blade's mom? And wait, who do we have for her already?
Zazie Beetz.
What do we
Janelle Monáe would be really good. I just like Zazie Beetz can actually do the action stuff.
Oh, sure, yeah. I don't know. I feel like Janelle Monáe could literally do anything, because anything she's tried, she's been the best at,
correct.
Period. So, who knows?
The reason why I'm more tempted to go with Megan Good is because I've used Janelle Monáe before.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But like, and I always like finding people that I haven't found before. Obviously, Janelle Monáe is great.
Amazing. Yeah. Oh, man, that's cool.
But I would be much more interested in promoting someone who's on the rise as opposed... Oh, Megan Good was in Brick.
Yeah. I think that's the first thing I ever saw her in. I didn't realize the connection until yesterday when I was looking her up. She's like the theater kid in Brick.
Yeah.
She's cool. Okay, I like that. So we'll stick...
Yeah, stick with Megan Good.
Oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea.
I mean, she is perfect casting for Karen because she's perfect casting for a lot of different things. But I would much rather go with an actress who I also just today discovered is amazing.
Dope. Let's see what else are the big hitters.
So let's now talk about the character. I'm taking us down a weird path because I forgot to cast Pearl.
Oh, I also did. So let's go down this path together.
But as we were talking, I kind of had a realization of, is Pearl male or female, or does it matter?
I don't think it matters.
I don't think it matters either, but they keep referring to Pearl. Like, you see Pearl and... Well, first of all, the name Pearl makes me think female.
Yeah.
But I think the reason that Pearl is named Pearl is because... And it is male.
Yeah.
He is...
Shaped.
A round white sphere.
Yeah. He was played by Eric something in the first film. But it does have a very, like, high-pitched voice and this, like... androgynous demeanor. It's also an amorphous, shaped demon creature. I almost always forget about that scene, other than Karen, leaning into cruelty at that point with the UV light and whatnot, because it does feel a little.
It's malicious.
Yeah,
and sadistic, which is the word I really wanted to say.
Right.
And it's like, well, Pearl can't do anything. We've completely cut Pearl off from everything. And here's the thing that I want to talk about with Pearl, because Pearl can't move.
No.
And all I wanted with Pearl was I just wanted a big hamster bottle full of blood, and Pearl to just lean over and go,
"Oh, gross." That's perfect. Yes.
And that's just all I wanted.
Yeah.
Because Pearl's such because Pearl is the dude in the chair.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's your oracle.
Yeah.
You kind of want that. And then Pearl is killed because Karen's dipping into the sadism.
Yeah.
But Pearl is intrinsically dour, but also funny.
Yeah.
And so the person I thought of while we were talking is there's a British comedian named Johnny Vegas.
I don't know him. Okay.
Look up this actor.
All right, Johnny Vegas. That's a fun name.
He's born as Michael Joseph Pennington and known professionally as Johnny Vegas.
Okay, yeah.
And he's an overweight British comedian who has actually lost some weight.
Uh-huh.
But he's so sad all the time. But that's part of his gimmick. But like you watch him on these British panel shows, and he's just like, "Oh, buddy, it's gonna be okay. It's not that bad."
He's got a sort of an Eeyore vibe.
But then, he does. But then he also just does some of the stuff to himself.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Where it's like they'll have this thing where they're just like throwing away chocolates. Like they make some reference to a bunch of chocolate. And he's like, "So, what's gonna happen with the rest of that chocolate?" And then he'll kind of realize what he did, and he'll both lean into it and just be full of self-loathing.
Nice, yeah.
Because if you're someone who can live forever and be automatically beautiful,
yeah,
and you've just taken it to you've literally taken the short-term excess to the extreme,
and
to the point where you just need a hamster.
Like you can't even enjoy any of the
yeah. That
tracks. Okay, that's good.
So that's why I didn't cast Pearl, but I'm sad about it. But Johnny Vegas.
I think Johnny Vegas works. Yeah. Along those lines, did you cast somebody to be Police Officer Krieger?
No.
I threw that out there just because, like, I was stuck on this familiars thing for a while.
Okay, yeah, and I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
So who do you have for Police Officer Krieger?
I have Bill Hader for Police Officer Krieger. Because I'm interested right now, especially if anybody's been watching, like, Barry on HBO. Like,
I know,
Bill
I
Hader
need to.
He's an amazing actor in general, but also, like, the idea that I think some, like, comedic performers that we have who have, like, been in one box for so long are probably, like, super adept at a bunch of other stuff that they don't have a chance to play.
You're really gonna like my Quinn.
Oh boy, I can't wait. And again, because, you know, like, Donald Logue was Quinn in the original film, and, like, most of the people would have just thought of Donald Logue as, like, hey, the, like, funny, happy guy, and he's playing this, like, really creepy vampire in this. So, along those lines...
Not vampire.
Well, along those lines, I just love Bill Hader in general. I want him in the MCU. Like,
cool, sold. That's all I needed. I didn't cast the role, so yeah, whatever you think. Good. Sounds good.
Should we? All right, is Quinn the next on
Let's
the
talk about Quinn.
Okay, let's talk about Quinn. What are you thinking?
So, when we first kind of see Quinn, we kind of expect Quinn to be a little bit more of the big bad as opposed to the person who's kind of like serving the big bad.
Yeah.
So, I kind of thought it'd be fun if we kind of had a more big name actor, especially an actor who wants to kind of break away from the way we're all seeing this particular actor and the way and the types of roles this actor has been getting, because this actor presumably can do lots of different things.
Sure.
And honestly, I think John Boyega would be a really good vampire. Like doing something completely different from Star Wars.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. That would be
where he plays insane and crazy and drugged up. Is like, hey man, I'm just gonna stab.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
it's a weird casting, but that's why I think it's interesting.
That is interesting. Tying into our whole thing about, like, you know, even within, like, a weird, hateful group, there's all sorts of shades of colors and stuff like that. Interesting. My Quinn was, I was like, okay, what do people remember about Quinn is, like, I didn't expect this comedic actor to be able to be this, like, creepy weirdo.
Right.
And Quinn has to be, like, funny in the, like, haha sober scenes or whatever, and then become, like, scary weird, like when, like, Blade, like, gets him up against the wall and he starts, like, speaking in tongues basically, and you're like, oh, what is that?
Yeah.
And then he has to be, like, the threatening monster vampire in the hospital that, like, sets off all the events and stuff like that. So,
although you never really see his face, that
you don't really
potentially be played by anybody.
He's like a burned out weirdo, yeah, but like
the dude in the bandages on Doom Patrol is, what's the name of that actor?
Wait, we're talking about Brendan Fraser?
No, Brendan Fraser's the robot.
Oh, I don't watch
you should. It's great.
I know people keep telling me. Yeah,
there's a really famous, attractive actor who's in Doom Patrol. Hold on.
Okay, so I thought I would, like, just in the spirit of the original one, like, keep my list of Quinn options to comedians, either stand-up comedians or improvisers or people that are, like, well-known for their comedy, and, like, give one of them a crack at being, like, the scary weirdo, but that would also be funny in the scenes. So my top pick is Thomas Middleditch for Quinn.
Interesting.
Yeah, because, like, I mean, if you only know of Thomas Middleditch from, like, Silicon Valley, like, yes, he's good at playing, like, the straight man in that show to the bonkers wacky people. But if you've ever seen his, like, sketch work or, like, seen him do improv, like, he does manic, wild, weird characters about as good as anybody I've ever seen.
Sure.
He and Pete Holmes used to do these, like, videos where they were, like, playing different X-Men and stuff. I don't know. He's hilarious.
Yes.
I think he's one of the funniest working actors today, just in general. But I also think he could lean into some, like, scary animalistic stuff. And he's, like, cool and lanky, so you could do, like, Doug Jonesy type makeup on him if he was becoming the, when he's doing his, like, growth growing his arms and stuff, or when he's all charred out like a burn victim. I think he could become very scary, or even be like a Nosferatu type vampire type thing.
I would see that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah. This is tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The person I was trying to say is in Doom Patrol, the character of Negative Man is played by a very attractive actor named Matt Bomer.
Oh my god, Matt Bomer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. When he's the dude in the bandages just walking around a TV show, it's not Matt Bomer. Matt Bomer just, like, VOs over it. And I think it's an actor named Matthew Zuck who actually plays him when he's walking around.
This is the Darth Vader approach.
It's literally the Darth Vader approach.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Do they do the same thing with Brendan Fraser?
I assume so.
Yeah. I feel like does he have,
literally
like, bad back problems?
Yeah, because there's literally someone here named Robot Man, and it's not Brendan Fraser, it's Riley Shanahan.
Right.
And that it must be Brendan Fraser doing voiceover, because why would you put Brendan Fraser in a weird robot costume every day?
Every day, yeah.
When you could just have him come in and do the voice.
Health issues he's had, yeah.
You're casting him for the voice and for the things. You're not actually. It's fine.
I love Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad he's in Doom Patrol because he's great.
Yeah.
He's so good.
It's Quinn. John Boyega's a fun choice.
I mean, we both picked left field choices.
Yeah, they're out there.
They're so weird. So, I mean, but theoretically, let's take another step back. You did not cast the weird blonde lady, right?
No.
Okay. I assume that's Mercury. There was the other option.
There's like a Rachel in there or something, or
yeah,
I don't know.
It was...
The cast list is hard to look up on the internet, is a thing I have realized. Because some of them are like slightly interchangeable lackeys of Deacon.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was this character named Raquel.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought.
And I don't know. Literally, it's these two people in a row. So it's either Mercury or Raquel, and one of them could have just been the one who, like, bit Quinn's arm as it was reforming.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Mercury's a more fun name.
It is?
That's the one I picked.
Good.
I cast Alicia Vikander.
Oh, dope.
Who is Tomb Raider, Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Just a Swedish actress who also is really good at action, and because I want her to be more involved in the story, because she's interesting and compelling, and because I want it to be a colony cloud of bats,
I'm always
vampires.
Gonna say colony cloud. I'm always going to say like, yes to Vikander, so yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, if we have Vikander, let's say we have kind of our main four of Mercury, Quinn. Does Blade's mom have a name?
Vanessa is her name.
Vanessa and Deacon. We have Stephen Yeun, we have Zazie Beetz, we have Alicia Vikander. Between John Boyega and Thomas Middleditch, who fits in with those more? Stephen Yeun, Zazie Beetz, Alicia Vikander, blank.
I'm still pulling for Middleditch, bro. I think he would do good. Plus, it would make it. We could, I mean, I think his parents are both English. He's a very, like, pasty white boy vibe to him.
Absolutely a pasty white boy.
Yeah, yeah.
Do we want a pasty white boy in the world of Blade? Because a pasty white boy is actually better for Police Officer Krieger.
True. Yeah. I mean...
There's also a possibility that neither of us have this particular cast nailed.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that, like, this is one of those where we're both kind of like, they're both good.
Yeah.
As opposed to Blade, where we're like, those are both good.
Yeah. They're left field choices. I mean, if we're having these are our heads of this like counter-revolutionary thingy. I don't know. I do kind of like the imagery inherent in when Blade takes down Quinn in the, what do you call it? The rave. You know,
the blood shower.
The blood shower rave. It's like killing all these vampires, whatever. Who's the important one? You know, who's our final boss that we deal with there? Is this almost...
Who Blade, for some reason, sets to torture instead of insta-kill like he does literally everyone else.
Right. He's like, oh, we're having fun here. Is this almost Viking-looking, you know, old era guy? I don't think either of ours kind of land there. So maybe there's something
but
there.
Because I still think we should have a rave, because absolutely.
Of course. Yeah.
Who could we better picture, and I don't know the answer to this, running a rave? Thomas Middleditch or John Boyega? John Boyega's a little bit more together.
Yeah.
Here's my final pitch for John Boyega.
Okay.
If we go with John Boyega, we have the example, regardless of who we cast for Blade, of Blade literally, the reason why Blade has a hard time killing Quinn, and the reason why Blade hates Quinn so much is because literally that's the image of what Blade does not want to be.
Okay. I see where you're going.
Yeah.
I see where you're going.
And literally, like, that's, like, if I just kind of give in all my urges, that's what I turn into.
Yeah. But also
Thomas Middleditch is great.
What about this?
Okay. Did you look someone up?
What if Bill Skarsgård plays Quinn?
Wait. Hold on.
So again, because we want to have Stormare in there and the Vampire Elders.
The actor from It.
Yes, yeah, Bill Skarsgård.
I mean, he's super creepy.
He is super creepy, and he's a funny weirdo. He is a funny, goofy, weird guy. His whole family is very funny.
I mean, it's a great Hollywood family.
It's a great Hollywood family. Or sweet, whatever the Norse version of Hollywood is.
Hollywood.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Borkwood. Great.
Holly Bork. Yes. Wow, wonderful. I'm sure. Anywhere.
My apologies to my 7 Finnish, Swedish, Norse listeners.
Yeah.
I think that's good casting. I think that we get someone who looks like they belong, who can do real creepy really well. I think Bill Skarsgård's a good replacement.
All right, let's leave him there.
It was a good final push for John Boyega.
I'm liking it. That was really good. That was like, yeah.
So then I only have one more cast member before I have writer-director.
Okay.
Do you have more than that?
I just only have one more.
Just Dragonetti?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Orlando Bloom.
Oh, okay. Legit. Here's where I'm going to unpin that pin from earlier when I was like, so we're talking about an actor that will feel like they've been an ancient vampire for decades upon decades, centuries upon centuries.
All right.
And I think it has to be Keanu Reeves.
Look, we all initially had the Keanu Reeves thought. We all did.
You have to have Keanu Reeves in there. I don't know.
Here's the thing. For Blade as it was made, never. Ever. Absolutely not. There's no possible way. But Marvel is tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
And if you cast someone who's eternal, and you want to just lean into the old Hollywood jokes, you obviously have to cast Keanu Reeves.
I mean...
That's why I did Orlando Bloom. Because I didn't want to hit that button too hard, but you're just... Like, I literally cast Orlando Bloom because I'm like, it's kind of like the Keanu Reeves thing, but not quite.
Yeah.
Someone who looks eternal. But obviously Keanu Reeves is, if you want to do this joke,
eternal.
That's the joke.
Yeah, that's the joke. And then, or also, and again, when we were talking about, when I didn't have my fully formed Deacon ideas, that like a Nikolai Coster-Waldau character, I can't pronounce his name. Nikolai Coster-Waldau, I think that's how you pronounce it. Jaime Lannister.
Oh, yeah.
As an elder, maybe he's Dragonetti. Or maybe he's just in the group.
I think he's a good person to have. Like, he would obviously be good. He's a terrific actor. He's an amazing Jaime Lannister. It's not funny.
No, it's not funny. No, we're both going for funny here.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of those things where I think that this would get thrown around and then immediately be like, but we can't do that. No. But I mean, like, why?
Yeah.
Why can't we do that?
Maybe we should do the joke.
Yeah.
The joke is fun.
I like the joke.
The joke can still work.
Yeah.
Okay. So do we...
And then because it's Marvel and they always end the movie with a mid-credits tease for the next movie and an end-credit joke.
Yes.
The end-credit joke is you cut to the set of the third Bill and Ted movie and you're like, where's Keanu? He hasn't shown up to set for a week. Where is he? And that's the end of the movie.
Ridiculous and fun.
That's what you do.
I think that's what you do. I think that's a stacked cast, man. I'm digging it.
All right. We just got to go back and pick our blade.
We got to go back and pick our blade. I think we landed maybe a few extra on mine.
Yeah.
Let's go with
Jason
Easy
Mitchell?
E. Yeah, let's go with Jason Mitchell. Yeah. Easy E.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah, I think it works for like a modern. I mean, obviously they're both amazing.
Yeah, they're both, young, talented
We'll
actors.
literally go with whichever one of the two is available.
Yeah.
And when in the coin flip of life, it happened to come up Jason Mitchell.
I'm down. All right, so that's our cast list. Now we got to talk about
Writer-director. I found some cool people. Let's talk about writer first.
Okay.
This writer has worked on Luke Cage, on Ray Donovan, on Notorious, on Night Watch, on Creed 2.
Dang.
He's been a producer of these things, and the sad thing is that I've never heard of this gentleman.
Yeah.
But he's obviously very, very good. He's currently the writer on Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Land, and Mask, Mobile Armored Strike Command. He wrote a movie called Lowriders. He worked on Almost Human, NCIS. This guy's great.
Yeah.
He is a writer named Shio Hadori Coker. I don't know him, but obviously his resume is amazing, and he both has written just like the NCIS amazing Hollywood things, and he's also written stories that are good stories from a black perspective.
Yeah, he's at the Notorious
and he split
B.I.G.
that
movie,
difference,
right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's Notorious.
Gotcha.
Like, he wrote that movie, and he's good. He knows what he's doing.
Legit. Okay.
And I like him.
That's good. I like that a lot. I was like swinging for fences here, and I was already...
We can't go with Taika Waititi.
Well, then, then a team of Christopher McQuarrie and Barry Jenkins. I don't know.
I mean, that would be great.
That would be great. There's no way they could afford that as a screenwriting team. I don't know. I like Chio.
Yeah.
That's legit.
Because he's done this, he's done action, and he's done, like, telling someone's life story and also doing action, so that's why I thought he was an interesting writer.
I think that's cool. Yeah, I've been limiting mine to... I don't think I've seen any of those things. I saw some of Luke Cage.
Yeah.
So
I watched season 1. I like the first half of season 1.
Yeah. Yeah, because I would want, like, a screenwriter heavy hitter, but I don't think that's realistic for either of the people I threw out.
And I don't necessarily think a heavy hitter will be able to tell the correct story.
Yeah. Plus, with the way the Marvel films are written, that like a lot of the other writers help out and chip in the script. Like
it's all a big collaboration.
Yeah, like when James Gunn was advising on Spider-Man: Homecoming, and when those writers were talking, that whoever is in the chair for that will also have the support
resources.
Structure and the resources
of course.
The Marvel thing. So like,
and he is already a part of the Marvel universe.
Also, yes, yeah,
because Luke Cage.
Okay.
Which, quite frankly, didn't necessarily appeal to me, but I know a lot of people who really liked it because it spoke a language that was real.
Yeah. Who does Black Lightning?
I don't know. I didn't look it up.
Sure on that.
Because Black Lightning is also very, very good.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. But again, that might be too obvious of a choice.
Sure.
They're like, well, who's done Black superhero stuff before?
Yeah.
In terms of directors, I have a name on the top of my list. I'm going to throw this out here. I think Antoine Fuqua should direct.
Tell me about Antoine Fuqua.
Oh, boy. So Antoine Fuqua...
Spell Antoine Fuqua.
It is Antoine, and then Fuqua is Fuqua. So he's been around for forever. He works a lot with Denzel, but like he's most known for Training Day. And these days he did like Southpaw and Equalizer movies and The Magnificent Seven.
He has so many movies in development. He has 10 movies currently in development.
Yeah. Antoine's thing is that, like, I mean, Antoine Fuqua is the guy you go to when you need, like, badass action shit.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm not always, like, super big on the story and writing in his films, but he almost never writes what he directs. So if you pair him with a good writer, you know, awesome stuff can happen.
Absolutely.
I liked his Magnificent Seven, and he's just, if you need somebody to be doing badass action, Antoine Fuqua. Like,
that's
he'll
great.
fuck up your shit. Sorry,
Yeah.
can I say that?
You heard how I opened the show.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
We're talking about Blade.
Yeah, it's Blade. Like,
People are going to drop some F-bombs.
Yeah. I mean, he's just...
That's a really good choice.
Yeah, if you need some badass stuff.
Let me tell you about mine.
Okay.
I have a director named Stephen Capel Jr.
Okay.
He directed Creed 2. He's directed Grownish. He isn't as much of a heavy hitter in terms of directing. He's also someone who's kind of on his way up because he's done a lot of television.
Yeah.
He's done the comedies of stuff like Grownish, but he also did like Creed 2. And so he kind of has that blend of action and comedy, which is kind of the Marvel school of directing.
Sure, yeah.
And that's why I thought he would be interesting.
And he had a working relationship with Chio already.
Yes.
From Okay, cool.
I would be more inclined to go with Antoine Fuqua.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing Blade, you need to blow out all the stops.
Yeah, badass action.
Yeah.
Okay.
He does badass action very well. The only thing that I would say he's not good at is there isn't a single joke on here.
I mean, Denzel's funny in Training Day, man. Like, he's he's funny. But again, like, if you're combining the, like...
Yeah.
What is Blade is the combination of, you know, the Marvel serialized storytelling aesthetic with the sort of, like, badass action stuff. So,
and obviously, because it's Blade, it would ideally have a different tone than the rest of the Marvel universe, even if it is cinema.
Yeah, we're trying to aim for a part of the MCU that feels of a piece of it, but is doing something like a Ragnarok and less like a Thor the Dark World, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it can still have a very personal take on it.
And I still absolutely think it meets the tone of the Netflix Marvel as opposed to the Marvel movies.
Yeah. So, and again, because Fuqua doesn't usually write his own stuff, if we pair him with somebody who has all of this serialized storytelling and superhero experience, I think it's a good combo.
Good.
Cool. Beautiful.
Then let's walk through who we have.
Okay.
Blade, as part of the MCU. We are starting with Blade, played by Jason Mitchell. Deacon Frost will be Stephen Yeun. Blade's mom, Vanessa. I just wrote Blade's mom.
That's fine.
Will be Zazie Beetz. Whistler will be played by Octavia Spencer. Karen will be played by Megan Good. Quinn will be Bill Skarsgård. Dragonetti will be Keanu Reeves. Mercury, or whatever her name was, will be Alicia Vikander.
Yeah.
Pearl is Johnny Vegas. The police officer Krieger is Bill Hader. Written by Chio Hodori Coker and directed by Antoine Fuqua.
Dude, I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to get a Blade movie again eventually.
Yeah.
Just because we're getting a Morpheus movie.
Yeah, you know, that's life. But we're here to make them as good as possible.
But if getting a Morpheus movie means that we will eventually get a Blade movie, I'm here for it.
I'm here for it too. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And the world could use some more Vampire Slayers.
Absolutely. Well done.
Thanks, man.
So, Zach, where can people find you on the internet?
If you want to find me on the internet, you can follow me on the Twitters and Instagrams at Zachary J. Luna. And
with a K or an H.
Oh, with an H in there. Yeah, Zachary J. Luna. And my normal hotspot is on the Dueling Genre Podcast Network, where I host Spider-Man Minute, and I'm one of the characters on Geek by Night. So check out that stuff.
Yeah, both great podcasts that
Thank
if you enjoy podcasts, you should listen to them.
Much
obliged. If you enjoy Spider-Man and haven't listened to Spider-Man Minute, you're missing out.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much for having me. This is
My
always a pleasure.
If you're interested in following me on the internet, I'm on Twitter at Sam Gasch, SAMGASCH. If you want to follow the podcast, it's on Twitter and Instagram at Ideal Remake. Spelled how it sounds. Or join us on Facebook, Ideal Remake Podcast. But if you could do one thing for the show this week, please tell a friend about it.
Yeah.
If you like the movie Blade and you like what we said about it, because we're right, tell someone about it, because this was super fun to talk about and we want to talk about more movies.
Yeah.
So yeah. Zach, thank you for trying to skate uphill with me.
Always a pleasure.